Okay, this is January the 18th, 2018. I wanted to do a follow-up video on C60. I've done several of them and am getting a lot of questions. I see a lot of people looking at this and are curious about it. So I wanted to do this video not so much as a follow-up on how I'm doing, although I'm doing well, and still take about a tablespoon of the C60 daily. But I'm 4 months into it, and I wanted to go through and answer some questions that y'all may have that I've had posed at me, and also I'm going to answer a series of questions that I posed to one of the scientists that's doing some research on this. Now, here are some of the questions that I've had as a result of the videos. How much should I start with? That's a little bit of a hard question. I would say start with this is just a rule of thumb. Start with maybe 2 teaspoons once a day of C60 in either olive oil or coconut oil or avocado oil. Of those three, I personally like coconut oil the best, but I would start out with that. And the reason I would start out with that, you can certainly start with more than that, and if you've got something that you really need to aggressively work on, you may in fact start with a bottle, which is about a 150 milliliter bottle. Take that in the course of 48 hours. I've seen some people do that. One of the things that can happen, doesn't always, but it can happen, is that you get some side effects from detoxing, because if your body has a pretty heavy toxic load in it, this will flush out a lot of those toxins, and sometimes that'll make you feel sick. Sometimes it'll be just something like maybe a feverish feeling. You don't really have a fever, but kind of flu-like symptoms, but it only lasts for a very short period of time, maybe an evening or a day at best. So that's kind of where rule of thumb for me is start with a tablespoon, do that through the first bottle, and then go to a teaspoon a day. Now, I take more than a teaspoon a day. I'm not sure that I need to take that much, but that's just where I'm stand right now. And the second question is, how much is too much? Seems to be the same, a similar question, but it's not. There's no way to overdose on this. I mean, you could chug a whole bottle in one setting, and it's not going to hurt you. At the very most, if it's, if you don't detox, if you're not going through detox from it, you're just going to flush it out. So it's not going to stay in your body. It's not going to cause any harmful effects. It's just that, if you take too much of it, way too much of it, it's just it's an overdose in that it's just not effective. It's only going to get effective up to a certain amount, and anything after that is kind of a no-go. So I'm just using some rule of thumbs and a few things that I've learned. There's nothing set in stone on this. And I've had the question posed to me. I think I've already answered this. What's the maintenance dosage? As I say, probably a teaspoon a day would be sufficient for most people. Now, here's another interesting question that I've had posed, and I'll answer this again in a few moments a little differently. But I've had some people ask me, how long should I take this? Well, you can take it for as long or as short a period of time as you want to. But if you want to continue to reap the benefits of carbon 60, then you need to plan on taking it from now on. So it's not something that you take like a medicine until you're over a sickness and then you quit taking it. This is a preventive measure, and I look at it, you know, as a way to prevent and not have to go to the doctor, not have the sicknesses, not as a way to treat sicknesses, although there's some possibilities there. Now, here's some questions that I posed to one of the scientists that I've listened to some of his videos. I've tossed a few emails back and forth because I've had some questions, and this fellow and his partner do considerable research on this, so I posed a few questions to him, since they're deeply into this and they work with it on a, you know, in a laboratory situation. And as I asked him, what's the best dosage to start with? Is it weight dependent? And I thought there might be some weight issues there that you need to keep in mind. He says, no, it's oxidative value dependent. So too little is not effective, and too much is of no value. So that's kind of what I thought, but I thought there may be something in there that I was not aware of. Now, how do you know when you reach homeostasis? In other words, how do you know when you've reached a plateau and you've reached that where that point where C60 is at a maintenance level? And it just says that you feel good. So you know, in my case, I didn't really feel bad to start with, but as I'm getting older, I see people around me that are having all kinds of health issues, from you know, you name it, different types of cancer, different types of dementia, just a whole host of things that are going on. And I don't want to participate in that. I'm just not interested in participating in that. So the idea of feeling good and preventing this stuff, I think, is, you know, to me, worth $1 million. Does this need to be taken from now on? And the answer is yes. And he says, only if you want to get better and better. Oxidative stress is with us in every breath. So it is a long-term product. I'm not saying you can't take it for a while, get off of it, and then, you know, maybe financially you can't afford it. I understand that quite well, but it's not that expensive, and it is something that I plan to take, you know, as a daily regimen, just like I do vitamins, just like I drink water, just, you know, like I do anything else. So, you know, it's I haven't figured up how much it costs me on a daily dosage basis. I could do that just to get an idea, see how this stuff goes. But anyway, one other question that hasn't been asked before, and I've had this in my mind. I've heard one other fellow talk about this, and I was curious about it. And I asked, how young is too young to start this, to start C60? And he says his grandkids, 8 and 11, both take it daily and are never sick. So in that instance, then, you know, there's not an age that's too young. But I've heard some say that, well, you know, you need to be, that one fellow suggested that you need to be of an adult age before he would suggest you take it. But he's not a scientist, he's a researcher, but not a scientist with this lab format. So there's differing opinions on that, but the thing is, regardless of what age you take C60 at, it's not going to hurt you. It's not going to hurt you. So especially if you've got some issues that you want to overcome and are a little bit frustrated with what you've seen from the medical community, some results there. Do your research, but C60 is well worth taking a look at. So with that, I'll end this video for now, but I just wanted to do a follow-up as I'm 4 months into it, and I wanted to go through these question and answers that I had. So we'll chat later.